Hi everyone and welcome to today's Chrissy B Show, and we are the only TV program out there that's dedicated to your mental health and well-being. So my real life story guest for today, Joe Luck, was diagnosed with Aspergers Syndrome, a form of autism which can affect the way a person communicates and relates to other people. But despite various challenges, Joe has now moved on to be a world champion kickboxer and is also a public speaker. She'll be telling us all about her journey shortly. And Joe is actually our autism news correspondent Anna Kennedy's guest, who's here to give us the latest updates. Then our clinical psychologist, Dr Nihara Krause, sheds more light on Asperger's Syndrome and what family members can do to help. So what else do we have for you today? News correspondent Helena Chard brings you positive reports in this week's A Helping of Happy, and we have the workout of the week with fitness expert Natalia Kotowska. Also, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and nutritionist Severine Menem will be giving us some important facts. And we also have our very first Test the Trend, where we try out something people are using or doing to see how effective it is. So our resident psychologist, Dr Audrey, Tang, and Brandy the dog tested out sleep trackers. Do they help us to improve our sleep, or do they cause us to worry about our sleep? We'll get their opinion later. Now, moving on to health, did you know that fermented foods such as sauerkraut produce good bacteria which helps to improve digestion, boost immunity, and help us maintain a healthy weight? But did you also know that fermenting food is super easy and inexpensive to do? We'll be showing you our visit to the fermentarium to show you how to make sauerkraut. So let's go straight to our first guest, Anna Kennedy, and her guest, Joe Luck. Welcome to the show, Anna and Joe.
Hello.
It's lovely to have you both on. So, Joe, we're going to speak to you in just a moment, but first of all, let's get the updates with Anna.
Well, I'm just
busy as usual, I bet.
Yeah,
yes?
of course.
Yes.
I'm just back from Cork, where I was with our ambassador for Ireland, Daniel, and we spoke in front of 500 people, and Daniel wowed everyone with his voice.
Nice.
And we've also been doing the judging. Well, not me. Joe has been doing judging of the Hero Awards, and what a tough time all our judges had. We had over 130 nominations, and they had to narrow it down to 36 finalists.
Oh, wow.
So that's going to be
hard.
happening in November. So that's when everyone will find out who has won. But they're all winners, aren't they, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do the two of you know each other?
I met Joe in 2013 at Autism's Got Talent because she is a fantastic kickboxer.
See, all these medals here, Joe. Yeah. Wow. So how did you get into kickboxing?
Well, I started when I was 13 years old with my dad. I didn't have much confidence, and he thought it would help me with my confidence.
Okay.
So it just sort of went on from there. Loved it straight away. Helped a lot with the things that I struggled with. Enjoy sparring, enjoy fighting, and I was good at it. So it just kind of stuck.
That's amazing. Wow. And you mentioned things that you struggled with. Is that with your mental health? What kind of struggles are you talking about?
Kind of a lot with just with I've got autism and ADHD.
Okay.
So I struggled a lot with my confidence and with meeting other people. Yeah. Like kickboxing has been good for me because it's helped me with repetition, and it's also been like an outlet for my stress. So it helps me regulate myself and not have too many stresses at home.
You're obviously really great at it because you've got your medals and everything. What does it feel like when you're actually winning medals and things and all that you've achieved? How do you feel?
Well, I never thought, like when I was 13 I started, and I set myself a goal to be the world champion, and I never thought I would do it, but I did. So like kind of it was that moment when I won my first world title that I realised I could actually be successful at things in life.
Amazing.
And that's kind of led me to meet Anna, really.
Yeah.
So sort of like reaching out and wanting to share the good things I've done to help inspire other people.
Amazing. Now, there's more that you guys wanted to do together, wasn't there?
Yeah, we've done a lot of stuff together. We've been in talks. She's created Give Us a Break, which was a pamphlet that really helped so many people during Anti-Bullying Week. We've done so much stuff together, haven't we? But then you had a bit of an episode where you were poorly.
Oh yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, like I've had a lot of difficult years. There's been a lot of life changes over the last 3 or 4 years, and I've never kind of got back on track from it. And it ended up kind of last year after a PIP tribunal of all things that I ended up needing to go into hospital. But because I don't have a learning disability, there wasn't any services available to support me in the local county. So I ended up in a crisis house for 7 weeks, and then and then into a care home as an alternative to psychiatric hospital for another 7 weeks, with a week in a general hospital in between. So it was quite a horrible time because for half of it I was separated from my dog, and then kind of the rest of it, like, I didn't really have any mental health input. So it's just a challenge trying to get any kind of support, really. I didn't know what was going on half of the time. I got threatened with being sectioned for asking to go home. Oh gosh. There's all kinds of stuff happened.
It was quite a lot of trauma that you went through, but understanding that, and that, because you obviously went through all the emotions, all those sort of negative feelings that were probably like attacking you, but you decided to actually do something really positive with that, didn't you? Can you tell us about that?
It's kind of like something I've been trying to do for a while as well, but I think that my experiences have made me more able to communicate like kind of what I experience better. I feel like I'm quite lucky because I can articulate things and sort of bridge those gaps where other people can't necessarily do that. So where I can, I'm trying to give insights into my experiences. Okay. I'm part of the Autism Advisory Panel in my local area of Northamptonshire, and I'm working with the leads in there around autism on improving services and improving pathways for mental health support.
That's amazing.
And also like sort of adapting social care assessments and lots of things really. I've been doing a lot of training sessions for the mental health teams and care providers, and I think the last one I did was with the acute liaison mental health team, which would be the people that assessed me in hospital. Some of them cried. It was quite a hard one for them to listen to, I think, but it was needed.
But amazing though that you were able to actually do that and for them to see, you know, because obviously most people aren't ill-intentioned when they kind of do these things. They're kind of they're doing what they know, what they've been trained to do, or lack of training in some aspects. But the fact that you were able to go back and actually talk to them, well, this is what I went through, and this is how things can improve. Their reaction just shows that they want to do better.
Yeah, I remember when you were in there, because obviously we were messaging each other, texts and WhatsApp, and I kept saying, "Oh, how are you? What are you doing? What's happening now?" type of thing. And I remember you saying they sounded really frustrated, and there was like a doctor and a nurse that they were arguing and saying, "We don't know what to do with Jo because she's we need more training." You could see that they wanted, but they just didn't know what to do.
Exactly.
And I think
that's amazing, Jo.
One of the really important things is they can get all this training on autism, on what they should do, what they shouldn't do, but I think they need to know the impact of what not doing it brings, because it's then that they realise the importance of doing it. And that's kind of what I try to give them, really, because I've had the impact of it, and it still impacts my life a lot now. It's like I have flashbacks of being in hospital. Like I had to be carried off an aeroplane because I was in like a bit of a shutdown. I couldn't walk, and just stuff like that. Like I need a lot of help to go kickboxing. I struggle with people, and I get scared of people hurting me because I felt like the nurses were hurting me because they didn't understand. It got to a point where I was in a cubicle and they would pull back the curtain and throw in a packet of crisps and run away because they didn't know how to. I was scary. I was hiding behind a cupboard.
But you've got a great psychologist now, haven't you?
Yeah.
He's amazing. He speaks to you at any time of the day or night.
Yeah, like he rang me like the other day and was speaking to me till about 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Like an hour and a half free psychology. So he's great. He's a great help.
So it's a big congratulations, not just for the medals, that's a massive achievement, but for everything that you're actually doing now to help make the experience much better for other people. Well done, Jo. Amazing. Anna, what do you think of all this?
Well, she's amazing. She was one of my first patrons, and I always talk about Jo when I go to do talks or whatever it is that I do. But even when we have Autism's Got Talent, she comes, she might not be performing, but she's talking to families, she's talking to mums, she's talking to adults, children. So she's there supporting, and you know, that's just priceless.
Definitely. Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lovely speaking to you, Jo, and all the best. I know you're going to be doing lots more. I don't need to ask you, but we'll hear from you very soon as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, everyone, now it's time to speak to our clinical psychologist, Dr. Nihara Krause. Welcome to the show, Nihara.
Oh, thank you very much. Lovely to see you.
So, Nihara, can you actually explain to us what exactly Asperger's syndrome is?
Yes, it's called a neurodevelopmental condition, which basically means it's a condition that is brought about because of the way that a person's brain might work, and as well as their central nervous system.
Okay, how does it actually affect a person or make them think differently or act differently?
Well, it's called a social communication disorder because it affects the way a person will generally communicate. So there might be a difficulty in understanding social cues. There might be a difficulty in being able to interpret what somebody else might be thinking. So social understanding and social interactions can therefore appear to be a little bit strange. People might be seen as a bit quirky, perhaps. Okay. There are sensory issues that might happen. So somebody with Asperger's might, for example, kind of be very sensitive to certain noises. They might be very sensitive to certain types of textures. They might not be able to wear certain types of clothes. And they also have very repetitive behaviors and very intense but repetitive interests. So, for example, there might be a huge interest in trains over and above the norm, or a variety of interests like that.
Okay, what can be done to make life easier?
Okay, well, there's lots of things that can be done because, of course, it's just about firstly educating people that people with Asperger's are no different. It's not kind of some sort of illness, but they just see, think and hear and react to the world differently. So I think it's good to be able to challenge prejudices that people might have. There's work around such as supporting social interactions, so being able to help perhaps people to understand a little bit more about how people think and work and to kind of be able to interpret that, and to accommodate for what might be helpful in terms of educational needs, for example.
Okay. And what about family members? Because obviously they have to make certain adjustments and be understanding of certain things. What can they do to help?
Again, I think finding out early. So if you do think that there might be something that, affects your child or your young person's social communication, it's always worth having an assessment and just finding out where their strengths might be and where perhaps they might need a little bit more help. Okay. There's difficulties around school for children and young people with Asperger's because firstly, because of their social interaction and awkwardness, they may need extra support on learning to make friends and learning to retain friends and protect themselves against being bullied, for example. And also in terms of things like abstract thinking. So that's really difficult for someone with Asperger's. So if teachers know that, they can then help support them to get the best of themselves.
Wonderful. Nihara, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you again next time.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, everybody, so after the break, we have our news correspondent Helena Chard bringing you positive reports in this week's A Helping of Happy. And we also have the workout of the week with fitness expert Natalia Kotowska. I did put the dance together because the dance actually shows the fight against depression. So as you know, you've got some punching moves in there, you've got that throwing out anything that's negative. So when you're actually doing the dance, just remember that the reason behind it is like you saying, I don't accept to be put down by any kind of problem, and I'm going to fight back.
We think it's a really, really important thing for them to be aware of being mentally and emotionally well as succeeding with their academic success. So when we heard about this dance, we just thought it was amazing.
We like to encourage students to open up if they are going through any problem, and let them know that it's okay to talk, that it's okay if you're going through a problem, it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Waving the flags, I think it's like saying to your worries, go away and don't come back.
I found the dance, I thought everybody enjoyed it because it could represent our big and small feelings.
Stop, stop, stop! Stop, 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 step back and point and wave! Step and crush! Step and crush! Step and crush!
Do you think this challenge is so important?
I think it's very important because it's a very interactive way for young people to take part and know the stigma around mental health and actually make a change.
It was really energetic and everyone took part in it and really got in there.
I think it's more important because of the actual mental health, not like going on the telly, like the mental health part, because it's quite important. Like if you just ignore it, then a lot of bad things could happen.
I think it's really important in our school we do take it seriously. Our children are really young, but obviously we want to talk to them about feelings and to recognise the different feelings that they have.
Oxymers, are you ready? Yeah! Are you sure? Yeah!
Let's go! And turn! 2, 1, 2, 3, get up!
Great pleasure to present you with our official Chrissy B Show participative certificate.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everybody. So now it's time for a helping of happy with the lovely Helena Chard. Hi.
Hello.
You're right, my love.
Having me back. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So I'm going to start off with SmartWorks. And SmartWorks is a UK charity set up in 2013, offering free high-quality interview clothes and interview training for people in need, for women predominantly in need.
Yeah.
It's a great charity, and Meghan Markle actually is the new royal patron. Well, she's not new as from this year.
Yeah.
For the organisation, and she's done so much good work. So it's really high profile now, and with her help she has got loads of people to donate clothing, and there's this one-to-one scenario that if people buy one of the garments from these shops and they donate something to somebody in need, which is really lovely. So one lovely lady called Sarah, who's 24 from the Midlands, she had a really challenging childhood, so much so, I mean, it affected her mental health. She spent most of her childhood hiding in the toilets at school, which is really sad, isn't it? Homelessness, sleeping on the streets, no qualifications, those various things. Saw a therapist, cut to recent, feeling good now, and wants to pursue her dream, which is working on aeroplanes as cabin crew. So she got her interview, and they needed, obviously she needs to wear certain clothing, and that's where SmartWorks stepped in. And a free designer suit completely changed her life. They really get to know you. They find out what kind of clothing fits you.
You have to be comfortable when you go to an interview, don't you?
Absolutely. Yeah. And she just is so excited that she now has this beautiful Burberry suit, which just fits her like a glove. Couldn't believe it. Feels $1 million, and it's the best thing ever that. For her, that she's had that attention from people as well.
That's nice.
And one of the things that, because it's like Burberry and Joseph and Whistles, they're really lovely, expensive clothing. And I think for her, she just wants to be a role model now for other people like her. She feels there are other women that are in far worse situations. And her main piece of advice is not to be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah,
which
definitely.
is so important.
Which is what the show is all about, isn't it?
Absolutely.
moving on to Billy Munger. I haven't got as much time as I wanted for this, but he's known as Billy Whiz, and he really, really is a special guy. He's my hero. As we say, he's going to go into the Hall of Happiness. You're
going to be sticking everyone in that Hall of Happiness.
Every week there's going to be one person, and he is just incredible. He's a racing driver. Both of his legs were amputated, unfortunately, due to an accident. But he talks about how as a double amputee, his fight to race again, because racing's absolutely his life. I mean, at the moment he's 20. He had the accident, I think, when he was 17.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was everything. He was a very shy child. It brought him out of himself. Everything about it was, for him, it's his life, and he was absolutely desperate to get it back. So excited that so many people cared so much. He actually raised 800,000 in one day.
Wow.
Not him, but they wanted to help, which put towards him getting better. His family, absolutely fantastic, so supportive, and his resilience, outstanding. I just can't believe it. When I think about it. He didn't feel disabled. He knew things had changed, and he had to just move on and get better so he could race.
Incredible.
It is so incredible that in 9 months he was trialling an F3 car. He had obviously his new legs. 11 months after the crash, he competed in the championships and actually came third, which is incredible.
That is.
So many people he raced against, and he was on the podium. Everyone was crying, because they just couldn't believe how amazing it was. And I mean, his outstanding achievement with this adversity, I think, is really commendable. He's such a special guy. I could go and go on and on and on. So inspirational, and you can really take so much from him.
Definitely into our Hall of Happiness.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Helena, thank you so much, my darling.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again next time.
Definitely.
Okay, everybody, so now it's time to go to our workout of the week with Natalia Kotowska.
Hey guys, it's me, Natalia Kotowska, and you do it with Nat, your fitness expert. Today I have another 3 great exercises with the bench. Before you attend any workout, make sure you check your health and condition. Make sure you discuss it with your specialist doctor if you're allowed to do them all. Okay, we're gonna move to our bench. First exercise, we're gonna place our feet on the bench, and we're gonna keep switching legs up and down. Up, up. Keep breathing. Use your arms. Jump high up. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Try to repeat that 20 times, maybe 30 if you can, or maybe go for 30 seconds straight, and then take a break. Second exercise, team, we're gonna place our foot on the bench. Make sure you're stable. Front leg, front knee should not cross our toe line. Back knee goes low. Keep your torso straight, belly button in, long neck. Breathe in, breathe out. You're gonna go all the way down, all the way up, all the way down, all the way up. At least 10 each leg. Then you're gonna switch. Again, take your time, place that feet on the bench safely. All the way down, all the way down. Keep pushing your hips as deep, as low as you can. And that's your second one. Then we're gonna move to our third one, team, a little bit something for our core. We're gonna lie flat on the bench. Legs up. Try to keep your legs as straight as possible. We're gonna try to reach to our toes. All the way up, down, up, down. It's called the toe touches. Breathe out, breathe in. Breathe out, breathe in. And that's your third one, team. Try to go again for 20, 30 repetition, or maybe 30 seconds straight, or maybe 40 seconds straight. As long as you can, as many times as you can. Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you so much for tuning in, and stay with us. See you next time.
Thank you very much to Natalia there. So October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and after the break we'll be joined by nutritionist Severine Menem, who'll be giving us some important facts. And we also have our very first Test the Trend, where we try out something people are using or doing to see how effective it is. So Audrey and her dog Brandy tested out sleep trackers to see whether they help us to improve our sleep or actually cause us to worry about our sleep. I'm Chrissy B, host of the UK's only TV programme dedicated to mental health and well-being, The Chrissy B Show, which airs on MyTV Sky 191 every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Follow our social media on YouTube, Instagram and Twitter at Chrissy B Show and our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. For more information, visit chrissybshow.tv.
So let's go inside and see what's happening.
Everyone has problems, right? Everyone goes through things. But the important thing that we were trying to get across today is that you don't have to stay alone with those problems, right? You can open up and talk about them.
If you don't tell nobody, you're keeping it inside and you're making yourself more worried.
Absolutely fantastic dancing and stomping out those emotions.
Yeah, that was fun. I've been practicing in PE lessons for the warm-up, so they've been showing me some good dance moves.
Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everybody. So October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and now we have our nutritionist Severine Menem to give us some important facts. Hello, Severine.
Hi, Chrissy. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Lovely to have you back.
Thank you.
So first of all, can you actually tell us about Breast Cancer Awareness Month?
Yes, basically breast cancer is the most common form of cancer for women, not only in the UK but also worldwide, and one of the leading causes of death for women. So it's important that we raise awareness about breast cancer, obviously.
Okay.
According to the NHS, 1 in 8 women will have breast cancer in their lifetime, which is quite this 12%, so that's quite a high number.
Yeah.
But the positive news is between 25% and 66% of these breast cancer cases may be preventable. So that's why it's super important to do this awareness, telling about early detection, treatment, palliative care, so that it makes it easy for everyone to know what to do when it happens.
And what are the actual signs and symptoms?
Signs and symptoms, there is the obvious one, the lump, in the breast, but it can be many other signs and symptoms, such as, a breast that has a change in texture of the skin, like an orange peel. It can become itchy. The nipple can change colors, it gets inverted, or have some discharge, which not discharge as in breast milk. You can have something in the lymph node, which will mean that there is something going on with the immune system. It can be really different. So the best is to do a self-examination every month and see, if it looks different, if it feels different. Then you would go to the GP for the GP to check. And if there is an issue, then you would be referred to a breast cancer clinic for further examination and a biopsy. But there is something which is quite positive. Not all lumps are cancerous. So it's good to keep in mind, not to freak out, at the first opportunity.
Okay, and can you tell us about the risk factors as well?
Yes, age is a big factor. So the older you get, the more likely you have to have breast cancer. For example, 80% of women who have breast cancer are over the age of 50.
Wow, it's a big percentage, yeah.
Yes, it is. If you have a personal history of breast cancer, you're more likely to get it again. Family history, if you got some genes such as BRCA1 and BRCA2, but also in your personal life, if you had your period before, you started having your periods before the age of 11, or your menopause after the age of 55, or even with pregnancy, if you had your pregnancy after the age of 50. So that's quite a lot of things. And the last one, last but not least, about hormone replacement therapy, HRT, was this big article saying that it actually increases the risk of breast cancer.
Can diet and lifestyle help?
Yes, absolutely. The first one is alcohol. Having just 1 glass of alcohol every day can increase your risk of breast cancer. So that's one thing.
Yeah.
The second thing is weight. If you are overweight or obese, you are increasing your risk of getting breast cancer.
Okay.
So on that, you can increase your exercise, which the more exercise you do, the less breast cancer risk you have, or eat better. because eating better will allow you to not only lose weight, but also get all the antioxidants you need to have your body fight better.
Can you give us a bit more information about the eating better? What kind of things can you do?
It's well, you've got two ways to see that. First, stop eating all the junk food, the sugar, because sugar feeds cancer cells and trans fats. So that's the big bad one. And on the other side, to have fresh fruits and vegetables, animal protein in moderation, the good fats, nuts and seeds.
Avocados,
olive
oil.
Yes, absolutely. The Mediterranean diet is really good for women.
Wonderful.
So that's one thing. Avoiding toxins. So toxin from the foods, when they're not grown organically, sometimes you've got some pesticide and everything. So that has an impact. But also in everyday products, such as the cream, shampoo, and so on, it has some toxin that gets into the body, gets stored, and the body doesn't know how to detoxify. So that's a bit of a problem. Not more than a bit of a problem, to be honest. Stress is a big factor as well. For some reason, women tend to be more affected by stress than men. So because we can't remove stress from our life, the best way to do it is learning how to deal with stress better.
Okay.
And last but not least, HRT. I'm not a GP, so I can't really advise on that, but women for millennials have done without HRT, so there are probably some holistic ways to deal with menopausal symptoms before getting to HRT.
Definitely. And just to make a note here as well, but men do get breast cancer as well. Obviously,
yes,
it's not as big of a percentage, but men do get it. So if men notice any of the symptoms as well, don't just think, this is just... No, I can't have breast cancer, it's just for women. If a man notices a lump as well and all the things that you spoke about before.
It is super important, yes. I don't know if there are as many stats on men that there are on women, but definitely toxins are for everyone. So men are also affected, unfortunately.
All right, Severine, thank you so much, my love.
You're very welcome.
And we'll see you again very soon. Great. Thank you. Okay, so now everyone, it's time to take a look at our very first Test the Trend, where we try out sleep trackers. Do they help us to improve our sleep, or do they cause us to worry about our sleep? Here's what psychologist Dr. Audrey Tang and her dog Brandy think.
This week we're going to look at something called orthosomnia. Orthosomnia comes from the similar word as orthopedics, orthodontics, corrective sleep. And a lot of people have been presenting with orthosomnia because they're saying that their trackers, a lot of people now wear trackers to track their steps, to track their heart rate, to track their sleep as well. Their trackers are saying that they don't actually have the right amount of sleep. Now, what I've noticed over the last couple of weeks that I've been looking at it is that on 1 week, and this is after about 3 years of wearing a tracker, I've actually had a tick for my sleep. Now, what's quite strange about that is I don't really have a sleeping routine. I tend to have about 7.5 hours sleep, and that's something that for me I function really well on. What I'm going to look at specifically is whether if I have a bedtime routine, so for example, I set my alarm for 7:30, but I go to bed at say 11:30. I switch off, come off all smartphones, come off all computers and everything about an hour before. I maybe have a herbal tea, maybe do some exercise, whether that's going to make a difference. And Brandy's going to help because Brandy has a very good routine anyway. She loves exercising and that always makes her tired. She does tend to have a very specific routine before she goes to bed as well, so she knows that she is going to bed. But of course, because it's summer at the moment, whether the hot weather is going to make a difference, I know it's a little bit cooler today, but whether that will make a difference for her, we're going to find out. It's such a lovely evening. We've decided to bring Brandy out for a walk. Sometimes exercise before bed is a really good thing to do. Depends on how you feel. Some people love it, other people don't. But definitely one of us is going to sleep very well tonight. Just about to start the first evening's wind down routine. It's about 9:45 at the moment, and after the next 15 minutes I'm going to pop this phone away and come off all devices, probably have some kind of herbal drink and maybe do some normal paper book reading, and then maybe a bit of stretching before going to sleep. If you can see this in the background, this is part of Brandy's nighttime routine. As you can see, it's part of mine as well. I've got my hot drink. Brandy's just been let out for the night and we're about to get ready for bed. So, night all. This is another bit of the bedtime routine. She knows she's not supposed to be on the bed, but here she is, and she'll get popped off into her basket soon and go to sleep. What I do notice about tonight, though, is it's a little bit earlier than usual. It's just coming up to 10 o'clock, and I'm already feeling quite sleepy. So I'm wondering whether I've got myself into slightly earlier sleeping habits. Morning. Just wanted to show everybody this. This is what I wake up to. She knows she's not supposed to be there, but somewhere around 7 o'clock, she gets up and crawls onto my head. So I wake up with a dog hat. So we've come to the end of the week looking at our sleep data. And one thing I've noticed when you look at my tracker results for this week is that I didn't get a green tick. But there are a few observations. The first is I haven't really had a deficiency of deep sleep or light sleep, so there's very similar results between the 2 weeks. There was one day where I had about 5 hours sleep, so I was up at 5:30 because I had a lot of work to do. However, I compensated for that by staying awake for that day, but then sleeping longer on the other days. Now, I was able to do that because my workload was a little bit less this week, but it does suggest that my body was naturally regulating. It's worth remembering that we have circadian rhythms. Some of us, that's the times when our body is energized and when it feels tired. Now, some of us have a 24-hour circadian rhythm clock, some of us 25, some of us 26. A tracker does not account for 24, 25 and 26. Therefore, be very mindful when you are using tracker data. Another thing too that I noticed was that I wasn't feeling overly hungry, which means that I wasn't lacking sleep that much. One thing I see when I do lack sleep is that I get a lot more hungry than usual and I start craving sweets and food that's not as healthy for me. This is often because when we don't sleep enough, we produce more cortisol, which means that we get hungry a lot faster because we need things to energize our bodies. Now, Brandy's already wanting to go to sleep quite quickly, so I'm actually going to let her go and she'll hopefully find her way to her bed. But the other things to think about are you can override the tracker. That's important. Your body knows what it needs to do. Another thing is there are dog trackers out there. There are ways of measuring your pet's stats, but use technology as a tool. Listen to your body. Think about what your body's saying, and then yes, of course, look for patterns should you need to. And that's the same with your pets as well. If you do, for whatever reason, need to know their health stats, great. But if you're just using a tracker in order to achieve some sort of perfection, perhaps we may be letting technology rule our lives. I think technology is a wonderful thing. I think trackers are absolutely great, but I won't be losing any sleep over them. Good night.
Thank you very much to Audrey and to Brandy. Now, did you know that fermented foods such as sauerkraut produce good bacteria which helps to improve digestion, boost immunity and help us maintain a healthy weight? But did you also know that fermenting food is super easy and inexpensive to do? After the break, we'll be showing you our visit to the fermentarium to show you how to make sauerkraut.
The MHD Challenge Tour continues. Keep on fighting depression, yeah?
A lot of young people do struggle with mental illness, and it really does help to talk about it.
I think all the children love the little crush and the little stamp.
Really understanding that the feelings are associated with the movements as well that we've been practicing today.
My favourite part of the dance is when we the stepping and crushing. I'm going to recommend this to all my friends and make them do it.
Welcome back to today's Chrissy B Show, everybody. So now we're going to be talking about health. Now, fermented foods are said to produce good bacteria, which helps to improve digestion, boost immunity, and help us to maintain a healthy weight. So now you're about to see just how easy it is to do your own fermenting with our visit to the fermentarium.
Hello everyone, my name is Anna Jozdova, and today I welcome you into fermentarium fermentation classes. So fermentation is a transformative action of bacteria. Basically, this is a preservation technique. When we introduce bacteria, beneficial bacteria, into our food to preserve it. Fermentation as a word comes from Latin fervere, which means to boil. Basically, when you see boiling water, you can see bubbles forming on the surface. Those same bubbles we can see on the sauerkraut fermenting. During the fermentation process, bacteria break down or metabolize foodstuffs like carbohydrates and sugars and break them down into smaller particles that are much easier for us to digest. Today we are going to make some sauerkraut. Very simple recipe. We need some cabbage. Yeah, it can be white cabbage as this one or purple cabbage. Really doesn't matter. So what we do is we clean, obviously we wash the cabbage and we clean outer damaged leaves, and we are also going to chop off the core. We're not using the core. So this we can use for stock, for example. I'm going to put this here. So how you chop your cabbages is really doesn't matter, but I like to julienne it quite fine because it looks really pretty, and once you eat it straight away. You make quite large chunks. If you're using food processor, you can do that as well. There's a special setup for that. Cabbages have lots of vitamin C naturally, and fermentation is going to preserve that. Before I put any other ingredients, I'm going to salt this. So we're going to use per 1 kilo of shredded cabbage. I usually use a little bit more than 1 tablespoon, measuring tablespoon of sea salt. So here we have like 1/3 of a kilo. So I'm going to use 1 teaspoon only of salt. Okay, so now is a very important stage where we massage the cabbages. So what we're doing it quite hard, as if you're kneading the bread dough. The purpose of this is to break down the fibers and release some juice. Through the process of osmosis, the salt is going to draw even more juice from the cabbages. We need that juice in order to create the anaerobic environment for fermenting our sauerkraut. Okay, so after you massaged the cabbages with salt for 5 minutes. You can see it's becoming really moist. And when you squeeze it, some liquid will come out. Yeah, so this is the juice that we need. And you will see a little pool of juice at the bottom. So that's very good. I'm gonna set this aside and I'm gonna add the rest of the ingredients. So today I'm going to use some apple with the skin, because the skin has all the good bacteria that we want. Plus it has some prebiotic fiber as well. So how you cut it is up to you, but I'm going to julienne it sort of nice tiny pieces. We're adding everything into the bowl. We are going to add some juniper berries. And I usually crack them open so they release all their flavor. Just gonna do this. Don't need to put much. Just going to put a few pieces, probably like 10 pieces of that. And now comes the next stage, where we are going to put everything into a glass jar. I'm going to use a magic tool, specially made for this. Call it a vegetable stomper. So how we do it? First of all, don't just chuck everything in, going by handfuls. So a few handfuls in, and then I'm going to squeeze using the tool. Pack everything tightly into the jar. And also, through this action, I release even more juice. So I'm gonna put the next handful. I'm gonna do the same. It's very important to squeeze out all the air bubbles. We don't need any oxygen in our ferment. Make sure to clean all the inner and outer walls of the jar, so there's nothing exposed to the oxygen. Also very important to leave at least 4 or 5 centimeters from the top of the jar, because there will be lots of activity going on during the fermentation. So make sure that everything stays under brine, or at least floating safely in brine. So now that we have all this beautiful juice, I'm going to close this and leave it to ferment at room temperature, away from direct sun rays, somewhere in the kitchen. So I'll leave it like this. Do make sure to put a label on it with the date, so you know when your sauerkraut is going to be ready. On day 2nd or 3rd, you're going to see first sign of fermentation, which is bubbles. Remember, we were talking about boiling water and how that resembles the fermentation. So you're going to see some bubbles on the surface, even some foam forming. You don't need to remove the foam, it's just part of the process. The first 5 days of fermentation will be very, very active. So you might see some cabbages expanding and trying to get out of your jar, or you will see some the brine that we created also rising to the surface and trying to leave your jar. This is why we left so much space, so much empty space from the top. So if you see the liquid surfacing up, or the cabbages expanding and trying to get out of your jar, just take a tablespoon and press everything down. It will look exactly the same. During this 21 days period, do burp your jar by slightly cracking it open and releasing some CO2s. So depending on the ambient temperature in your house, in your kitchen, your sauerkraut might be ready between 6 to 21 days. To determine that, just open the lid and take a little piece and try it. Yeah, it should be quite salty. It should be quite crisp. Yet it will have some quite sour notes. So if it's getting a bit too sour to your liking, put it in the fridge. So So basically the fridge doesn't stop the fermentation process, it slows it down significantly. Generally, I recommend fermenting your sauerkraut at room temperature for 21 days. So you benefit from all the beneficial bacteria that form during that time. And then you put it into the fridge for long storage. Sauerkraut can keep in the fridge for up to 1 year.
Thank you very much to the fermentarian, and I hope that you are actually going to try to make your own sauerkraut. Well, everyone, we have reached the end of today's program, and I'd like to thank all of my guests today. And if you have a story that you would like to share, all you need to do is email us on info@chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet or Instagram us at Chrissy B Show, or you can leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. For more information about this program, all you need to do is visit our website, which is chrissybshow.tv. And if you'd like to know more about my mental health journey and the kind of things that I overcame and how, you can visit my personal website, which is mylifeafterdepression.com. Until next time, bye-bye for now.
So the reason that we did the dance, through the dance, I wanted to actually show the fight against depression.
The dance is so symbolic.
Waving the flags, I think it's like saying to your worries, go away and don't come back.
I did like the dance and everything.
For example, this move, does anyone know what this one means when you do
the depression out and all the sadness out and like all the scariness out.
I see you back in